Leo, how have you found the draft process so far? The combine, you've had your pro day as well. What has this experience been like for you?
It's definitely different. Just being able to sit down and meet with a lot of teams and, just like talk with a bunch of guys just about football, getting to know the different teams, stuff like that. It's super exciting. And I'm kind of just on my own. I usually with my older brother John, he was at the University of Wisconsin as well. And, just being on my own, it's a real different experience. It's really cool just, getting to know the process.
So we only see the combine from an extreme outsider's view. We get to see what the NFL Network show us on the field. We see the workouts, but none of the other stuff. So we hear that it's a taxing week. It's a long, challenging week for the players. Can you put into words what the entire experience is like and the way it challenges you mentally and physically?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely, they do challenge you. That's definitely accurate. You're waking up early, 4:30 in the morning. Sometimes you got a drug test 2 times while we're there. So we're waking up that early. We're staying up, sometimes 1 a.m. because we got to meet with teams like formally. They'll keep you there, and then you got to go get your workout in an Exos when you didn't really have time. Not Exos, not everybody's at Exos, but for me, it was at Exos. Like they had a whole area set up at a different hotel you got to walk to. So you just like keeping you up at 1 a.m. We got to wake up at 4:30 a.m. So just like a little bit of sleep. And then on top of that, like you got to wait for sometimes up to 10 hours for just one MRI sitting in a room, doing nothing. You can't leave. So it's definitely testing us in every different angle. I was kind of struggling to keep up with my hydration and a little bit of food, but I definitely was glad, to be able to go through it. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but it was definitely interesting.
Because you tested very, very well, but I wonder what the pressure is like when you actually get to finally doing the testing. Because if I've had 3 hours sleep, let's say, I'm struggling to get down the stairs and make a cup of coffee. You guys, you're standing on that start line about to run a 40, knowing that there's millions of people are going to watch this over the next 24 hours. And yet you've had a really challenging week going into that. So what is the pressure like when you finally get out on the field? And also you've got all the eyes of the coaches and the scouts and the GMs watching you from the stands.
Going into it, every rep I would take, during the week and even before that week, I would just kind of just envision myself, close my eyes when I'm, getting ready for that start. I would envision myself, all right, I'm lined up in Indy right now on the turf. Everybody's watching me. I kind of just envisioned that. So like when it came time, it's like, all right, it's just what I practiced, stuff like that. But, I definitely did get a little nerves. Like my practice didn't, cover everything, but you definitely get a lot of nerves. Just like you hit that line, and like think to yourself, dang, this is it right here. So, I mean, if anything, it helped me.
Now, I watched this is going to sound pretty sad from my behalf. I have a very patient wife, but I watched every minute of the combine on the NFL
Oh, wow.
Network. And watching the linebacker drills, it was apparent that there was a lot of energy among the group. I would say it was the most energetic group of all of the different positions that worked out. It was certainly the noisiest set of on-field drills. And I knew a guy who was at Lucas Oil, and he backed that up when we had a little podcast afterwards. So what was it like being amongst those other guys within the linebackers? And were there certain people that were, driving you on? Anybody who was getting everything going?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely did have a lot of energy. It was fun just meeting all those different personalities, all those great players from across the country. Just representing their team. And those guys aren't just good players; they're good leaders, good vocal leaders too. Just to be in the position they're in, you kind of have to be. So I mean, I wouldn't say that there was one guy. It's just like we were just like happy to be there. We're like, all right, let's all go get this bread. Like we're all just so excited. It just kept going and going.
Now, you got to your pro day, you ran a 3 cone of 6.84, short shuttle of 3.94. These are drills that the NFL pays a lot of attention to at your position specifically. So how would you describe your combination of agility, a change of direction, your quickness, all at 250 pounds?
I would just say I definitely took in the training that, our strength coaches put us through at Wisconsin. They helped me a lot. And then on top of that at Exos, I just got so much better in technique because a lot of those drills, like it comes down to technique. Generally you obviously see like, how explosive guys are laterally, vertically, stuff like that. But, technique does play a factor into it. And, but at the same time, I feel like, that just shows how much I can improve. Like in coverage, like people kind of say like, all right, he wasn't laterally explosive, or you can't change direction, but certain drills prove like maybe with just a little work, you can just get that much better.
Because when I was watching your games, there's a lot of violence in your game. You played very aggressively downhill. Can you tell us a bit about your role at Wisconsin? What were you asked to do, and how did that role combine well with your skill set?
Yeah, I mean, I was just asked to lead, not only vocally but on the field as well. And when it came to like addressing like certain plays, like we had a standard in the run, we got to blow it up. We got to be on the other side of the line of scrimmage. However that works. And I love getting downhill and just being in the backfield trying to make a play. Like I wanted the ball carrier every single play, and at the same time not being too selfish. Putting the team first, and if I did, happen to force it one way. Jack Sanborn, awesome dude, awesome linebacker. He went and cleaned it up.
Yeah, 18.5 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, and that's all despite missing a couple of games for COVID as well. I think I'm right in saying. So, how do you feel it went on a personal level to sort of finish at Wisconsin with a season like that?
I mean, it was definitely on a high note, personally, individually. But for me, it's like I'm never really satisfied. Like it's those are good numbers, whatever, 11 games, but like to me, I think like, okay, like where did I miss? Like where's my coverage production? Like I'm holding myself to like a standard, like, okay, that's cool, but where's this side of it? And I just know I can always get better.
There are a couple of other physical things I wanted to ask you about. I mean, you and Brandon Smith from Penn State were the only 2 linebackers at the combine who are of your size, 250 pounds. Do you think that can kind of separate you from the rest of the pack a little bit, because you're running these times, you're doing the shuttles, you're 40.5-inch vertical as well. We should talk about the explosive testing too, 10.8 broad. You're doing this at 250. A lot of the linebackers who are testing are doing it at 230, 235. There's increasingly sort of smaller, quicker linebackers. You're doing all this at 250. That, I suppose that is a feather in your cap moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like really like to look at it that way. I just like, I want to be faster, stronger, everything better than everybody else, no matter what, no matter if they're 200 pounds or 270. Like, I just want to be the most explosive guy on the field at all times. And I actually did train with Brandon Smith and Exos in Arizona. He is a cool dude, and he's a freaky athlete. I thought he could have gotten better in some numbers, and he probably thinks so too, but he is a freaky athlete. But yeah, I mean, we definitely just want to pride ourselves and being the fastest, strongest, no matter what weight we are.
Are there any players that you model yourself on? Is there anybody that you think you compare well to who's in the league?
I mean, I kind of looked at guys that were in the league, and I'm not comparing myself to them. Obviously, skill wise, they're almost untouchable. Obviously, strive to be great and pass them up. But Ray Lewis and Luke Kuechly were always the 2 guys I looked up to. Ray Lewis, just with his ferociousness on the field, you could say, he was just an animal. And then Luke Kuechly, I mean, kind of in the same way, but just his approach to the game, like he was really a genius in the game and how he approached it and his discipline off the field. He's just really fun to watch.
Now, when I watch Wisconsin play and I see all of your testing results, and then I look on PFF and it says that you were the highest graded run defender in college football. Your pass rush grade ranked, I think you were 2nd overall. Your defensive grade's a 91.5, which is really great grade. And yet I read that when you sought feedback from the NFL Draft Advisory Committee, they were sort of saying 3rd round. I imagine you're setting your sights higher than that now because of what you have done on the field and now what you've started to do during this pre-draft process.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely were questions like, am I slow? And, what's my change of direction, or speed laterally, stuff like that. I just showed what, I already knew. I definitely think, people were underestimating me in that way, but, that's okay. That's why we have the combine, and just to go through that process, people can have their opinions. That NFL draft, those are smart dudes. So, I mean, you can't just really, get pissed at them because they know what they're talking about, but I just believe I can show a little more than that.
A couple more questions to finish, Leo. I mean, the last couple of years have been unusual for the draft due to COVID, a lot of restrictions. Are you going to be able to go and visit with teams and go to facilities in the coming weeks? Is that something that players are going to be able to do again now?
I mean, I believe so. I know that I already have Zoom interviews scheduled, but I also have, some teams I'm going to go sit down and eat with. A couple teams are going to want on-field workouts. I don't know about flying out there. I'm sure that's still a thing just because they're able to fly here. So I'm not really sure, but those are the things I have.
And as someone who covers the Seahawks a lot, and given they've just parted with one legendary linebacker in Bobby Wagner, I have to ask, have you had a chance to sit down with Seattle at the Combine or in another way? Any positive vibes from them if you have?
I did not sit down with them formally. My mind is kind of in scrambles because we had informal meetings, and there was just a ton of teams pulling me side to side. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they were one of them. But I mean that'd be awesome to go there either way. But yeah,
Yeah, you don't mind the rain.
no, not at all. Come on, man. I deal with any types of weather. I'm from Wisconsin.
Of course you are, yeah, yeah. Kindred spirits in that regard, as someone who's from the UK. Um, what do you want to achieve from your career? Have you set any personal ambitions or any sights? And if a team drafts you, what are they going to be getting?
I like personally like I'm having fun when I'm winning. Like I don't that's like anybody. Like I don't like losing. I could say like, okay, I want to be the best my position, whatever. Those things are obvious. Like you want to be the best to help your team, but I'm not having fun if I'm sitting there losing, looking at the scoreboard and like we just lost. Like so, I mean, I just want to do as much as I can to help the team. Whether it's a conference championship, like Super Bowl would be obviously the dream. But and I'm gonna be doing whatever I can. Like when I was a freshman, I come into the Badgers, like I saw that I was like in the two deep. I wasn't starting as a freshman, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do whatever I can. Like so, I just brought energy every single day of practice, every single game. I was just screaming. So it didn't have to be words. I was just trying to make noise, bring energy. So whatever my role is, I'm gonna embrace it. Try to bring others up with me as well.
Leo, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Love the tape. You play the game a way I think a lot of us like to see it played. So good luck with your career, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.